It's a vibes. Yes, family, large up yourself, big up yourself. It's your host, Selah Shalom on the ones and twos. You know how we do. It's a vibes.
Sweet Herbals. What it tastes is bitter, but the results are sweet. bittersweetherbals.com. Bittersweet Herbals. What it tastes is bitter, but the results are sweet. bittersweetherbals.com.
Yes, family. Make sure to get your bitters. Your host, Selah Shalom. You know how we do, family. We live and direct. Shout out to the Creator Gang. Big shout out. Daryl Cosmon. Last night was epic. Shout out Malachi Maccabee. Excellent build earlier today. Shout out to the legendary Cosmon Cattle and the rest of the Creator Gang. You know how we do. It's the vibes. We got a special guest tonight. Some of y'all may know her, some of y'all may not. Susan B. Martinez, yes. PhD. Now, I mean, we got PhDs over here too in the Creator Gang and the OWASP study group. Those who study OWASP, we got PhDs over here too. Shout out Susan B. Martinez. I'm going to be calling her in a few. The sister is legendary. She wrote a couple books, I should say. Let me speak about it a little later. Yes, family. See the family chiming in. Let the family come on in. You big. Oh yeah, she requested that she wants to be interactive with the chat. You know what I mean? So if anybody want to jump on the live, anybody got questions as we go along. I mean, she wants to be interactive with this conversation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave a link. So whoever wanna hop on and raise some questions, y'all free to do so. Just drop the link in the chat. Yo. All right, give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me clearly. Give me a 1 in the chat if you can hear me fine. I want to make sure everything reside before we get started. Say less. All right, so check it. This is what I'm about to do. going to go ahead and get this thing started. I'm about to call the sister. You know what I mean? She's an elder, so she's not too fancy off with the social media joint. So I'm going to call her from my landline, my cell phone, I should say. And then we're going to have a discussion like that. You know what I mean? I got my microphone set up. Got my Sennheiser boom mic, what I use for filming, set up. So we can have her audio loud and clear. You dig? All right, no doubt. I see the ones flowing through there. All right, now where we at with it? Let me get ready to call. All right, so check it. There we go. Put it on the speaker. Make sure everything legit. And y'all let me know if she coming through loud and clear too.
Hello?
Susan.
Yeah.
Selah Shalom. All right. We got you online. We live right now. And I want to make sure your audio is coming through nice and clear. So just go ahead.
Yeah, I can hear you good.
You can hear me good? All right, that sounds excellent. All right. Just give a brief introduction, you know what I mean, of who you are. I know you done authored several books. I got I'm gonna show the pictures of the books as we go along. But go ahead and give an introduction of who you are, and everybody in the chat, give me your one. Matter of fact, give me your two in the chat if she's coming through clear as she talks, so we all be on the same page. All right, you can go ahead and introduce yourself, sis.
Okay. When I was working on this, and it turned into 14 pages, that's what I'm dealing with here. Okay. I gave it I changed the title to this. Is it our place to forgive the evil inclinations? I kept changing it because this branches out into so many areas of interest to faithists. And for me, tonight, this is different, and thank you for the opportunity to come here and talk, because I never had the chance to talk about ethics.
Definitely.
And it's a bee in my bonnet. It's been so for a long time, and so I have a chance to bring out some of these issues that we're talking about. And it occurred to me to introduce the topic by quoting from Book of Ben 9.3.
Okay. Two
extremes fall on the change. Two extremes fall on the change. And brother, that's what's happening now.
Definitely.
In fact, everywhere we look, and also in the context of this discussion, because what I'm basically looking at is blame versus forgiveness. And this is something that affects us all, personally and politically. So, the other, accountability is a strong topic here. Right. That's going to come up in what we discuss. And so that's where I want to get into it. And the subject stretches all the way to tolerance and racism and all the things that are going on right now. And if you want me to start, I can tell you what my starting point is.
Okay, yeah, definitely. If you're ready to jump and dive on in, you can go ahead and start. Everybody's saying they can hear you clearly, too, so that's a good thing.
Very good. In the news on June 14th, that was 10 days ago, Trump was ex-President Trump was under attack, and the situation actually turbocharged his campaign. We have all witnessed him using his wrongdoings to help him play the victim. So that's the other theme that runs right through all of this, the victim. And he uses his wrongdoings to help him play the victim, just like his sorehead underclass followers. We live to see the unhappy perversion of truth and justice in these times.
Right.
And when I wrote that sentence, I realized I had said "in these times," and that's one of the publications I follow.
Okay.
I like reading hard copy. I'm not a computer person. I'm anti-tech. We'll get to that. But I do subscribe. I've been subscribing to all the media magazines and journals that can actually supply some news.
Right.
So that's what a lot of my sources are. I keep up with the issues by reading progressive magazines, and In These Times is one of them. It's kind of a labor-slanted magazine, and I'm not particularly interested in labor, but they cover a lot of interesting issues. So,
right.
I will take a breath here for a second.
No, that's definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. And these are some of the topics that, we overlook a lot of times. We don't look at, ethics, accountability, blaming others, taking responsibility. Those are the things that we kind of overlook and kind of focus on, to highlight the easy things to deal with or the things that make us look good. But, when it comes to deal with, like you say, accountability, your ethics, your practices of good and evil, we kind of shun that to the side. But go ahead.
Exactly. And so some of it is overlooked and some of it is downright taboo. In almost in the same sense that Owaspy itself is taboo. How often do we, when we're speaking with, audience, do we mention it? Not much.
Right.
It's taboo also, and we've got to get past that.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to start off with Mary Trump.
Okay.
Who happens to be a mental health professional and calls her famous uncle a classic narcissist, like most politicians.
Right.
And so I'm going to spend just a little time on narcissism because I'll give you a little background on these things because it might be interesting. Years ago, I spent a lot of time studying crime. True crime. Not that I like the topic, but because I called it Psy-Cry for short. PSI cry. Psy-Crime, because that's where you see the Jujan activity. And I got to the point where I was able to write about school shootings, understood from the point of view, from a faceless point of view, okay. The negative overshadowing. And whenever you study crime, you're looking at, okay, I'll give you the shorthand so you understand. NPD, which is narcissistic personality disorder, and APD, which is antisocial personality disorder, and they're very similar. There may be a few points separating them, but basically, antisocial and narcissistic are very closely allied. Narcissism, when you do a psychological study of it, an objective study of it, it always implies a form of arrested development in the child. It's about upbringing.
Right.
The budding narcissist as a child hardly had a chance. He was either abused and dreadfully neglected, or the opposite. Right away, this is where the extremes come in.
Right.
We're talking about two extremes for on the change, and this is what we see in our culture at this time, in the darkest hour before the dawn.
Right.
It's the abused child, or the opposite, the child wrapped in cotton wool, as they say in Wales, growing up, hovered over and indulged. The doting parent, sometimes the same as the devouring mother,
right.
robbing him of responsibility and soul. responsibility and soul power till he ends up spoiled, feeling perfectly entitled. So the word entitled is important there, and where that goes is that sometimes it's hard to summarize this, but I think you'll understand that a study of narcissism makes you realize that the American culture is itself narcissistic. It's built into our national character, and the word entitled is sort of a big hint toward that. But I'll go on for a minute and continuing on description of the narcissist. He is scornful of authority. He shifts blame, which is our topic for now. He shifts blame everywhere, all over the place, because his self is beyond reproach. He might be pretty sharp when it comes to seeing everyone else's faults, but blind to his own. Now, these are the agreed upon traits of the narcissist according to DSM, which is the Bible. This is the psychology Bible. It's DSM stands for something like Diagnostic Statistical Manual. That's where they list all the mental diseases of mankind in the DSM. And so in DSM, the narcissist is arrogant, cold, ruthless, and can rationalize anything.
Interesting.
I'm going to quote from Ronald Markham, who was on my bibliography for Psycrime. Quote, successful sociopaths. Oh, let me interrupt for a second. There's a certain interchange of the word sociopath, psychopaths, and antisocial. They're all just about the same. And when I was studying the literature, I noticed they stopped using the word psychopath and started using the word sociopath. I'm not exactly sure why, but you can understand that these are basically, they're sort of lost. The psychology world is lost because they don't understand the overshadowing of the unseen world. Okay, so they're always beating around the bush or one thing or the other. But some of this stuff hits home, and so does this quote from Ronald Markham. Quote, successful sociopaths can make it big in business, politics, or sales, areas where they can manipulate others. But when caught red-handed, he tends to shift the blame to others, end quote. So that's it in a nutshell. And so if I can talk for a second about your school shooters and your mass shooters,
yes, definitely.
Because both of those things are on the scene now. And I did write a book about school shooting. It's called Why. So in the case of the school shooter and the mass shooter, the perp is most likely a narcissist and classic blamer. Okay? He is impelled by, quote, boundless repressed rage. I'm quoting from McGinnis, who wrote the biography of, what was that guy's name? Max something. The guy, the army guy in North Carolina who killed his family.
Wow.
He knew him. McGinnis knew him, and gee, I remembered the name before, but now it's slipped my mind. Wow. Anyway, that was his quote, in boundless repressed rage. Remember that phrase when we get to talking about Don the Con.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, now the Columbine massacre in Columbine, Colorado in 1999. You know, that was a turning point, kind of. Well, it was right before the millennium, right. And it was sort of a climax to all the school shootings that were going on in the 1990s. Here, it started in the South, then moved up north and ended up everywhere in the United States. But
wow.
Columbine in 1999 was quite exceptional. The perpetrators, who both, if you remember, they both ended up dead at the end of the onslaught. Eric and Dylan.
Right.
Yeah, Eric and Dylan. In fact, I contacted Dylan's mom at one point.
Oh wow.
And she, we weren't on the same page anymore. She had gotten, imagine how tragic it was for her. You know?
Right, true.
Not just losing her son, but feeling that her son was responsible for the deaths of, it was about 20 people.
Right.
Right. But so the way she coped with it was she went, she wasn't interested in criminal studies or anything of that nature, but she became a big advocate for suicide.
Mm.
Yeah, she got into the suicide movement big time. Sue, let's see, Dylan, I forgot the last name, but okay, getting back to Eric and Dylan, their tapes and journals reeked of reproach. They were avenging angels. You know, yeah.
Deep.
And they reeked of grandiosity, which I have in parenthesis as the silly genius complex. I could talk about that sometime because that's something I invented. I gave it a name anyway, the genius complex. You know.
Okay.
I'll skip it for now. You can think about it, but I'd like to talk about it later on.
That's fine.
Trying to wind up on narcissism here to give you an understanding of where I'm coming from.
Okay.
Your typical narcissist is by nature self-absorbed and opportunistic. The adolescent rampager cowardly selects a soft target, a school, all the while blaming his personal failures on everyone else. It's delusional, really. It's delusional. What's more, he acts without conscience or remorse, objectifying his victims, dehumanizing them. I hope you can feel the outer vibrations of this, that this is what is become of society itself.
Right.
That's why it's an important topic to me. I don't love crime, but I have immersed myself in it to understand things. You know, Olashe tells us to understand the times we live in.
Right, exactly.
Right. So this pattern of dehumanizing them is equal to the ballless collateral damage that his elder brother coolly invokes to mollify his own atrocities in foreign lands and domestic lands. Bless his heart, Eric's personality was textbook NPD. Charming, callous, manipulative. Well, it's fine to be charming, but he had a mean streak. The psychopath's total lack of empathy. Who cares? I spotted this same empathy in Indian prophecy. This is from the land of India.
Okay.
And they say that this apathy, it's called tamaguna. It's kind of a kind of laziness. This apathy signals the terminal stage of Kali Yuga. Okay, the old order. Okay. It signals the terminal stage of Kali Yuga. This tamaguna makes everyone miserable. And I have in parenthesis Frog 6.6. So if somebody could look up Fragapati 6.6, that's where it says the same.
Fragapati 6.6. I could pull it up real quick.
Good.
I'll pull it up real quick. Fragapati 6.6. We read that. All right, here we go. They said that Vera Thargana said, and yet we shall find in the lowest Haiti atmospherian heavens spirits huddled together like bees in a hive. And yet, why, O chief? For it is not so with mortals also. They cluster together in cities and tribes, warring for inches of ground, while vast divisions of the earth lie waste and vacant. Interesting.
Oh, that's great. But I got myself confused. That belongs somewhere else, but still it's great. Because one of the other topics I'm working on, and I'll be presenting pretty soon, is on the overpopulation hoax.
Oh, right. Yeah, definitely. That'll be a good one to speak on.
Oh, it's really interesting. But I'll finish up here on what I was saying.
Well, hold on. I'm sorry. What verse was that again? Because I think you said I may have read the wrong verse.
I'm sorry?
What verse from Fraggle Patty you wanted again?
Frog 6.6.
Okay, all right. So that was it then. When it was talking about the people huddled together like bees and
was that 6.6?
Yeah, Fraggle Patty. Yeah, chapter 6, verse 6.
My bad.
Okay.
I'll summarize here and see where it's going. The monster, this tamaguna, this apathy, the monster of indifference and ignorance stalks the earth today in the darkest hour before the dawn, before the Satya Yuga. So that's how the Hindu system breaks it down. The Kali Yuga is where all this dark stuff happens at the end, but it breaks and it leads into the Satya Yuga. And everybody who studied this knows that means the age of truth.
Right.
So that corresponds to what we're talking about in OSB.
Right. Yeah, somebody said in the chat, yes, yes, Kali Yuga, like they're agreeing with what you're saying with, yeah.
Yeah. I've got a wonderful painting of Kali with her huge sword chopping off the heads of that's how they illustrate it, chopping off the heads of ignorance and greed and all the things that have ruined the life of man.
Right.
Now I'm going to wind up here on, unfortunately, the narcissist self-importance and intolerance of others. Okay, highlight that word, intolerance.
Okay,
intolerance of others can lurch into what's called malignant narcissism. And we find this sort of thing, not surprisingly, mentioned in the political commentary of our day. I'm quoting here from the Jerusalem Post, where they discuss the Arab problem, and they use the term malignancy, referring to, quote, the barbarian attitude of the public mind, end quote. And that, in the study I'm doing, that boils down to your blamers and your antagonistic attitude. Now, here's a little background on blame. One school of Islamists blame the decline in Arab glory on the Americans, the Zionists, the British, the French, the Italian imperialists, even the Turks and Freemasons. But, and now I'm quoting from Ed Hussein of Bangladesh, wonderful author.
Okay.
You must read his book, Ed Hussein of Bangladesh. But blame the Turks, the Freemasons, quote, but never themselves. And now I'm quoting from Mohsin Hamid, a Pakistani fantastic author. His you've got to read his books. I think he's a novelist. Hussein is nonfiction, but okay, Mohsin Hamid decries his own country's, quote, impulse to blame foreign powers who, while very far from guiltless, have only secondarily contributed to Pakistan's ongoing crises which remain primarily of Pakistani making.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's where I breathe. And if you would do me a favor, read from Book of Judgment 34, verse 8 through 9.
34,
verse 8 through 9.
Book of Judgment 34, 8 through 9. Let me get that.
I hope I got this one right.
Book of Judgment, chapter 34. Let me get 34. All right, 34. What was the verses again?
Book of Judgment 34, 8 to 9.
Okay, got you. All right, I got it right.
I'm going to preamble this with this sentence. The real evil, the real blame, belongs to whatever selfish regime holds back its own people.
Got you. All right, so I'm gonna read the verse for you right now. Book of Judgment, chapter 34, verse 9. It states
8 to 9.
Oh, 8 to 9. Okay. Oh, glad it was me probably. All right, here we go. Got you. All right, let me make sure it's screen showing so the people can see what we're reading. All right. When a government no longer fills the grade according to the advancement of the people, behold, your God withdraw his heavenly protection from that government, and the people run immediately into anarchy. Verse 9. Do not lay the blame of anarchy, revolution, and assassination on the people. My judgment is against the government in all cases. These conditions of vengeance are only the fruit resulting from the government's diversion from the will of Jehovah and the march of his light.
You know, to me, the key word in that was anarchy.
Ah, okay.
And the people run immediately into anarchy, and that's what's happening now.
Exactly. We're living through this as you speak. Actually, as we seen it play out in real time.
Yeah.
So when it says don't lay the blame on anarchy, revolution, and assassination, like when I hear assassination, what comes to mind is like JFK. You know, so
right.
With something like that, we can't blame. Like, it's not the people's fault on that; it's the government. So that's deep right there. That's heavy.
It wasn't the people that killed him.
Right.
It was the powers.
Exactly. Coinciding on what the verse is saying. But go ahead, continue on.
Despite these plain truths, blame the victim is seriously in vogue. Some of it started in the Vietnam War, at which time it became both American and Russian strategy. Now I'm going to quote from O'Neill's book, I think the name of his book is Coming Apart, a very excellent book. Okay, I'm quoting from him. The great powers, this is referring to Russia and U.S.
Okay.
The great powers not only followed the same policies, but used the same language to obscure them. When either committed aggression, the victim was to blame. Cuba and North Vietnam were at fault for making the U.S. attack them. End quote. Right? He just lays it out there. And it's the same with the gun-toting hardcore today. Spoiling for a fight. The latest eye-opener that I came across in the literature in the journalism of today was coverage by Sasha Abramsky, a Jewish woman journalist who's pretty brave. She went up to Shasta County, California, to find out about these. The right wing has taken over the county there. I'm quoting something that she quoted from the members of this group. Quote, when our country collapses and you force armed conflict, you get absolutely what you deserve. Okay, that's the right-wing voice coming out of Shasta County, California. I think her story was in the New Republic. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But now that's just the same as Don the Con, the offender making himself the victim. Our shameless ex-president, brought to task for his vast malfeasance, reinvents himself as the injured party, the poor victim of persecution. The best analysis I have seen of the Orange Man has been pointing out how he's tapping into the boundless rage of the white underclass, and playing the victim is the way he has succeeded in doing that.
Interesting.
And another comment on a victim. With all this madness amok in the world, the real victim can now be sued. Punish the victim.
Wow.
Witness the Las Vegas Harvest Festival mass shooting in 2017 by a lunatic who fatally gunned down 58 festival goers from an upper floor perch at the MGM Hotel. Well, the hotel owner sued the victims in a desperate ploy to deflect liability.
That's crazy.
The victims' lawyers could only react with outrage.
That's crazy.
So I'm ready to take a breath here because I'm going into part 2 of this argument, and I'm curious if anyone has any comments or
Definitely.
questions.
Y'all got a question? Throw it in the chat. She's open for questions. What you heard so far, if you have any questions, throw it in the chat. Yeah, that Las Vegas shooting it's crazy. It's like, what's going through these people's minds to even commit these acts. And it kind of coincides, it kind of makes me reflect on Owaski when it talks about these wandering spirits, these drudges, and these spirits that like to entice people to evil. It makes you really ponder upon those things.
Right, and we have it right in front of us now, and we can't avoid the fact that this is coming from the Judean world, and a good deal of the politics is also coming from the Judean world. Owaski tells us that when we lose all goodness, the angels abandon the cities and abandon the people, and the next result is anarchy and Jude is running wild.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. That's exactly what's playing out.
I know, and we can't keep it a secret much longer about what we know about the spirit world, because it's running rampant on the earth today, and people are at a loss to understand the crazy stuff going on in the world. They really don't, and on top of that, they're losing hope. And what we have from Owaski is an understanding of this darkness, but that it's leading to the light, and the light is increasing all the time.
Right, exactly. So, like for example, I got a question. Like with the school shootings, and like you said, you spoke to one of the Columbia school shooter mothers. Did she give you any insight in like the mentality of what the child was going through? Was he being picked on at school, being bullied, anything along those lines?
Well, I never got into a conversation with her, and I actually didn't need that information from her because there's a really strong literature on Columbine. gee, I got one of the books here packed away. There was a lot of commentary, and it was very enlightening. You really got into what was going on with Eric and Dylan. It's kind of like you do get the picture that Dylan was a very sensitive person, but Eric was the complete malignant narcissist, and he followed him on that path. It's so tragic. Just that part of it is so tragic. But you see, I did a study of school shooters, and this is not 100%, but first of all, it's a white boy phenomenon. You just don't get black school shooters. Right. Okay, and it's also like a suburban phenomenon, with the kind of an empty life that sensitive people feel. Right.
But you know what? It's crazy because I ain't gonna lie. I remember being in high school, and you had people that did bully people to the point where they didn't want to come to school, they didn't want to come to class. So even coming up in my day in school, I could see how a school shooting can occur based off the peer pressure that I seen even coming up in school. You know what I mean? On both sides of the spectrum, as far as the Caucasians being picked on and even black people being picked on and bullied. And in my mind, even back then, I used to be like, because I remember I used to go to school and there was this one white guy, they beat up real bad in the neighborhood. And I used to always think in the back of my head, like, yo, this dude may come back and just shoot everything up. That used to be in the back of my mind. So it's not too far-fetched that these school shootings occur, because coming up in school, you see the peer pressure, you see the bullying. And if you ever been bullied and peer pressured, it's not a delightful thing. You know what I mean? Some people could deal with it a little better than others, but
that's right.
It's not a delightful thing to get bullied and peer pressured. And you never know how far somebody may go to do what they do. And here we have it now. You get these school shooters because, they trying to get into the mind of why did you do it? Oh, I was bullied. And you're like, well, damn, that could have been prevented,
Right. And most of these kids just stole their dad's gun, Right. And what I want to say is I studied about 20, somewhere between 20 and 25 school shooters, and most of them were bullied. And, the feeling I came away from that was, Selah, why don't the teachers stop it? Right. Why don't they stop it? People are standing back and not being proactive. And one of the topics I'm going to get to later on, if we get to it, because like I say, it's 14 pages, is preventive action. And that's the same as when people say proactive. OSPIC gives us a very clear blueprint for preventing, rather than healing the damage afterwards. Right. So why aren't schools stopping this? They're scared of something too. What are they scared of?
Right. But you said something key earlier. You said it starts at home, in the household, and I believe that, because the friends that I had coming up, you go to their house and their parents are damn like their friends. They smoking, drinking with them. And I'm like, damn, your mom is like, treating you like she hanging with us or something. Like, she's not being a parent. She being a friend more than a parent. And a lot of times, like you say, that behavior comes to school now. So now you in school next to the kid who got the proper bring up, the one who don't curse at the table, don't curse around your parents, take your hat off the table. And then you got the kid coming next to that kid who parent allowed him to do anything. And then now you have a personality clash of two upbringings, the one who was brought up good compared to the one who was brought up unruly. And then now it's playing out in the school. And I think the teachers are scared of the students. It's like, like I remember like at one point, you had respect for your teacher. You didn't go, like out the way. Like, you may argue a little bit with the teacher or whatever, but you ain't about to go fight the teacher and all that. You know what I mean? So the lack of discipline in the household, because the child nowadays don't fear the parent. So if they don't fear the parent, what they gonna fear the teacher for? And now You know, they know a lot of these kids know that they could get off on certain things, or you know, they know certain laws or whatever. That if the teacher hit me, he gonna get in trouble, and I get off. Like they notice and antagonize the teacher with that. And some of the teachers just snap and just deal with the kid because you got two forms of justice. You know, you got the street justice, and then you got law and order justice. And some people just snap once that level of disrespect has been given. You know.
Yeah. You know, one of the most recent school shootings was a 6-year-old who shot his teacher. I saw a news item on it recently. She's suing somebody, the school, or I'm not sure. She's suing, and here's a funny thing. The last time I talked to Joan Greer, she was so upset. She got so upset by she had read that she had seen some story that where the parents of a 2-year-old got them a gun for their birthday.
Well, they hold up. Some parents brought a 2-year-old a gun for their birthday.
You got that right.
That's crazy, right there.
She was so upset.
Yeah, that's next level right there. So that don't make no sense. You know what you doing buying a 2-year-old a gun for? Well, what happened to water guns and toy guns? A real gun, like really?
They thought it was cute.
And that's crazy. I think the U.S. need to do something with these gun laws because it's like, you know, like in Georgia here, like you know, you out here with me, so it's like, you know, you don't need no permit no more. Anybody can get a gun, and I think that's why the crime is skyrocketing because you got all these young kids out here with guns, driving around with fully automatic weapon, fully 50-round drums and 20-round clips, and they driving around wanting to use it. So all they're looking for is the slightest thing, the altercation to get into, so they can fire their weapons and use it. Then they get caught locked up, wishing that they didn't do it, and the cycle just continues like that. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Watch out. The Republicans are using the power in their state power, to relax gun laws. This is up and coming. This is what you can expect to be happening in this crazy unfolding of Cosman. Every kind of regulation and voting. It's really horrific what's happening, and the Republicans are able to do this on a state basis, whatever states they control. And you know, I'll just branch out for a second and say that I see all this as a clear dividing of the way, which is our other strong theme for Cosman. It builds on the two extremes that forerun the change, and we're definitely dividing because there's no way that people like us will reconcile with people like them. We need to divide, and you know what? They want it. They want us to secede. They want us to secede in Texas. They want us to secede in Oregon. They want us to secede all over the world. I'm seeing this. So I think we have to give a little more thought to secession and not regard it as such a bad thing, because really it's inevitable that we go our separate ways. That is if you read the last few verses in Owaspe, the very end of Owaspe, the last verse, it refers to that process. Oh, do you think maybe you could read it?
Yeah, I can read it. Where we at with it? Let me see. You talking about in the Book of Discipline, the very first page of the Discipline, or the Book of Jehovah's Kingdom?
I'm talking about the Book of Owaspe, the
the Book of Owaspe.
The very, very end of the Book of Owaspe, the last final verse in the Book of Owaspe.
Well, let me see.
Let's say the last two or three verses, because they leave us with that, you know. So that's what we need to understand, and everybody else needs it too.
Now, hold up. Wait a second.
Is it the Book of Shalom that's at the end?
You know what? I think let me look at my Owaspy real quick. Let me look at the big blue. Let me see what's now the Book of Discipline in one version is the end book, but the big blue version that you get off of Amazon, I think they got the book of knowledge, and the book of Urantia in there.
Right, I see. Oh, okay, we're talking about different editions. I'm sort of old-fashioned. I'm just onto the green Owaspy.
Oh, you got the green Owaspy?
Yeah, it's probably the Book of Shalom.
The Book of Shalom? Yeah, because I'm thinking it's the book of hold on. Let me see if it's the Book of Judgment. I mean, not the Book of Judgment.
No.
Yeah, Book of Shalom is the
It's got to be Shalom. I'm looking for it myself now.
I think I got it. Is this the one where it says wider and wider apart? These two people separated.
That's it.
Yeah, I got it. That's the ending of the Book of Jehovah, Kingdom on Earth. But it is the Book of Shalom too.
Oh, okay. So let's go for it.
I bet. So you said the last couple of verses on that one?
Yeah.
All right, I got you. All right, I'll start from let's see. I'll start from verse 17 and then read it to verse 24. All right, here we go.
And it's no coincidence that they left us with this. So this is it.
Right. The boast of the Usains. Y'all hush. Down. My dog's playing. All right. The boast of the Usains shall be, this is a home for all people, but nevertheless, even while boasting, they shall make prohibitory laws to the contrary. Verse 18. For they have fallen under the lower light. You know what? Hold up. Let me share my screen so that people can see what I'm reading. All right, here we go. Verse 18. For they have fallen under the lower light. None can turn them around the other way. Verse 19. Under the name of liberty, they shall claim the right to practice ungodliness. Verse 20.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's what's happening.
Exactly. And people talk about, where is prophecy in Owaspy? Where is prophecy in Owaspy? The Book of Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth is the prophecy. It's telling you exactly what's going on right now.
Right.
Now let me read verse 20 for you. But you shall come out from among them and be as a separate people in the world. Verse 21. And so it came about that the people were admonished by God and his angels, and by Jehovah speaking in the souls of mortals. And those who of the Spirit believed, but those who of the flesh disbelieved. Wider and wider apart, these two people separated. And the believers, having faith in Jehovah, practiced righteousness, rising higher and higher in wisdom and purity. But the disbelievers went down in darkness, were scattered and lost from the face of the earth. Thus Jehovah's kingdom swallowed up all things in victory. His dominion was over all, and all people dwell in peace and liberty. Bang.
Oh man, is that the very end?
Yeah.
So I just want to make one comment that you'll notice that it's written in past tense, and that's called anti-script. When prophecy uses, prophecy is always about the future, but it uses past tense. And that's a general technique you will find in other systems of prophecy, and Owaspy has it as well.
Okay, cool. Got you.
I have plenty more to go on.
Somebody got a question real quick.
I'm curious if anybody's got a question.
Yes, somebody got a question. Let me read it real quick. It states, what is her opinion on the progressive woke agenda allowing children under 18 of age to take hormone blocking drugs for so-called gender transition?
That's a whole different topic, and I'll admit that I'm not in favor of it,
Okay.
but I can't. It's so different from what we're dealing with here that we can make a separate discussion of it some other time, huh?
Okay, cool. That's no problem.
It's very important. It's very important, but and it's part of the culture wars that we're talking about. So we'll get back to that. I promise.
Right, definitely. No problem. No problem. All right. Y'all got any questions based off the topic? Just throw it in the chat. And once they drop it in there, I'll just interrupt and let you know you got a question, and I'll just do it like that. Let me see here. All right, so see if anybody gonna drop any more questions. Y'all can drop some questions on narcissism. You hear what she's, breaking down. And see, this is a good topic because we often don't talk on these topics. You know what I'm saying? And these are topics we definitely need to touch on.
Yeah.
Are guns being allowed? Hold on, let me see what he said here. Are the guns being allowed a government agenda? I'm not too clear on what are guns being allowed.
Oh, okay. I think I get what it means.
Uh-huh.
Is the government out to keep guns around? And this too is a huge topic and a separate one. But the answer is yes, because it's the corporate state that we're living in. When it's no longer a democracy. That's been falling apart, ripped to shreds in the last decade.
Right. True.
So if anyone wants to get together on a discussion of guns, we can do that at a later date.
Okay, definitely.
But okay, so because I'm at a point where I'm shifting the focus to something else. So
okay, that's fine.
Maybe I could. Are there any burning questions at the moment? Otherwise, I'll go on.
Let me see. That was the last one so far.
Okay, so let's go on into the other extreme. Okay.
Okay, great.
Blame, and all this stuff with blame and victim and.
Oh wait, one more. Wow, somebody just dropped one more question. Not to cut you, they just dropped.
No problem.
Oh, they're starting to come with the questions now. Does she believe in mental disease caused by drugas?
That's exactly what I believe, and I'm trying to say we, as racists, we have to come out bold with that, and to help people understand that we're all subject to spirit influence. But what we're seeing here is some very dark stuff.
Definitely, I agree. And somebody raised a question. This may be a little off topic, but they put asked her about her opinion on Hindu cosmogony and accuracy.
Well, there's a lot of good stuff there. I mean, I just quoted their concept of transitioning from Kali Yuga to Satya Yuga, which is the age of truth, is the same as our cosmon. However, it's been terribly distorted, and this has been going on for hundreds of years. The date, for example, the date that they give for Satya Yuga is thousands of years in the future. But that's not the case. Cosmon is coming now.
Right.
So with all the world systems of prophecy, you take it with a grain of salt. You take out what's true and also what corresponds with what we know from Owaske, right. and you disregard all the stuff that doesn't mix with what you know with your own understanding. A lot of faith is, before they ever got to Owaske, were seekers and have studied the world's religions, and still are doing that, especially younger people. There's always something good to get from all the systems, the Vedic, the Algonquin, and the Hebrew were given the tetracts,
Right.
So there's truth in all of it, but it's a mixed bag.
All right. You want to take any more questions? There's a couple more. Or you want to move on?
Sure.
All right.
Let's do it. Let's take it.
All right. Let me see. Someone asked, can human robots rise too? Interesting. Can human robots rise too?
Human robot is an oxymoron, so you better restate that.
Yeah, that was all right. So okay, what is bipolar, psychosis, and schizophrenia?
Okay, all of that stuff is from the overshadowing, from Druges, from spirits from human beings who have left the earth but still hang out in the Hadan, still are stuck in the Hadan regions, and a lot of them don't know they're dead. They just and imagine their effect when they latch on to a vulnerable person. So all of this is true. The last book I published was called Field Guide to the Spirit World, and that's where I had a chance to bring out the Owaspé teachings and coordinate it with what we know from psychology or unusual behavior. You better believe it. We're all under spirits.
Big facts. Big facts. Yes. For those who don't know, this is the author of many books. We're gonna get into that too in a minute, but definitely. That's deep. That's definitely deep. All right. Let me see. I got another one. Does she believe that COVID is warfare on the human race for controlling people or bringing about zombies to destroy the human race? Interesting.
What was that word, zombies?
Yeah.
Oh, let me skip over that. And the first part of the question is yes.
Okay.
My answer is yes, because I'm tracking the depopulation agenda now. And hey, am I going to leave out pestilence? No. They produce. We've got a whole other show here on this.
Right.
The answer is yes.
Okay. Let me see.
I don't know about zombies, though.
Yeah.
maybe you can answer that one.
Yeah, it's interesting because I watch a lot of thriller, zombie, horror movies, and at one point they was making a lot of zombie movies like 28 Days Later, Dawn of the Dead, and a lot of those was basically, to sum it up for what we know, is like drudges. It was just showing like wandering spirits, enticing people to do evil or just trying to feast vampire spirits, So it's interesting how they show these things in these movies to say like, well, what are you really getting at? You show all these people like zombies trying to feast off and like vampires off the living.
Oh yeah. The popular culture is full of this stuff, and it's just like a cartoon version of what we know from Owaspé.
Right. Right. And somebody else left a question. Let me see. Hello. All right, she said, wait. If it's evil spirits attached to us, how should the authority punish crimes?
Oh, well, maybe they shouldn't punish it at all, but just separate that individual and, work whatever forms of therapy are effective.
Got you.
We're facists. We don't believe in punishment.
Right. We got to strategize and break the drudges out, shake the drudges off.
The populace has to be kept safe, so they have to be separated from them. But who knows what kind of positive programs they could do if they had the right attitude.
Right. Because a lot of people go to jail and come out more knowledgeable when before they went in, when they came out. I don't see people go to jail and come back. They looking healthy. They done got strong. Some of them done turned Muslims and they reading books now. I'm like, dang, he wasn't nothing like that before he went in. So, it's like, these hells can be rehabilitations depending on who's governing and running them.
There's a lot of fellas that start their redemption in prison.
Right, exactly. Let me see if there's any other questions so you can move on. Well, let me see. Is she aware of the rise of homelessness, accumulation on city streets, even public school zones?
Very much so. And we've got one face that's working on it, our friend Michael in Houston. That's what he has devoted himself to. He started it all by himself, and he's helping the homeless. I helped him for a while when I had free clothing available to me. He's the only face I know who's doing it, but at least there's him. And Houston is a very big city. I don't study the homeless. I've been studying the refugee problem.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Let me see. Anybody else? Well, these questions coming in. She said, can she talk about reincarnation in Jujas?
I wrote a book called The Reincarnation Hoax, and no one would publish it.
Oh, wow. You serious?
It's too damn popular.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So that's how much they love their Druges.
Wow, that's deep right there.
Even intelligent, scholarly people, even brilliant people still go for that. It goes back to the same thing. They don't understand the Jujan world. They don't understand that spirit carries on after death. They don't understand any of the revelations we've gotten from Owaspe. Even though that kind of thing is pretty much available for people to understand that there is a spiritual problem.
Right, definitely. I'm just showing some of the. I'm just broadcasting some of your books real quick on the screen. So for those who don't know, Susan B. Martinez is a PhD, and I'm just gonna name some of the books she wrote and show the pictures. The cover, Field Guide to the Spirit World is one.
That's the one that we're talking about. It's my last book.
The Science of Angel Power, Discarnate Entities, and Demonic Possession. Wow, that's deep. Yeah, this is heavy. That's heavy. So that's what we're talking about now, family. So if you want to get this book, go on Amazon and you can purchase it. You type it in, it'll pop right up. And then another book she has is The Psychic Life of Abraham Lincoln. Y'all definitely, all this is on Amazon too. Y'all just type it in, it'll pop up. And another book, The Lost Continent of Pan. Y'all already know we talk heavy on Pan. The lost continent in the Pacific Ocean, 25,000 years ago that was sunk. And then we got Delusions in Science and Spirituality, The Fall of the Standard Model and the Rise of Knowledge from Unseen Worlds. Excellent book right there, I'm sure. Y'all go ahead and check that out. It's on Amazon. And then we got, let me scoot up, The Lost History of the Little People, True Spiritual Advancement, There's spiritually advanced civilization around the world. And of course, that's talking about the Ayans, the little people. And then we have The Mysterious Origin, the Hybrid Man, Crossbreeding, and the Unexpected Family Tree of Humanity. So as you can see, family, just on the topics alone, these are some interesting books you definitely want to have in the archives. And then we have another one, Time of Quickening, Prophecies for the Coming Utopia Age. So if you're a faithist and you deal with the Owaspe, these are some books you definitely want to have in your archive. So go ahead, go to Amazon and make that purchase because it's right there where you can get it. All right, now you can go ahead, sis.
And you know what, Selah? None of those books would exist without Owaspe. Without Olaspe and the angels, we wouldn't know these things.
Facts.
You know, we have the angels to thank for this. I mean, I know a lot of things, and I studied. I tried to find out about spiritualism, but hey, without Olaspe, I'd still be scrounging around.
Somebody put, I'm blown away. Like, they blown away from your works. Yeah.
Without Olaspe, and you know, it's always been that way for mankind. That we don't make progress without the angels.
That's true.
That doesn't happen.
That's true, yo. That's true. I agree. I definitely agree, yo.
So, if there are no more questions, I'll go into part 2.
I one more.
But I welcome the questions if there are any.
Yeah, got one more question. They put is CERN an attempt to turn energy into matter? CERN.
Say that again.
Is CERN, SERN, CERN, is CERN an attempt to turn energy into matter?
Okay, I get what he's saying. It's my personal belief that that's a huge waste of time and money, and also very dangerous.
Facts.
They shut down, but I don't know if they reactivated. Do you?
I'm not sure. It's like I haven't been keeping up with it. I was just shocked the fact that it seems like a big vortex that they're trying to. I don't know if they're trying to crack, trying to open up a vortex, a portal, or what. But I'm not sure. I haven't been up on it since the last couple years, to be honest.
Me too. I think they should stop what they're doing, give that money to the poor, and read the book of Cosmogony and Prophecy.
They get it right, exactly.
Right?
Get it right. I don't know. They're trying to bring a level of destruction that they don't even know what they're doing. And to be honest, I don't even think that's the real purpose. They try to send some atoms to collide atoms. I don't even think that's true what they're saying. I think it's something else going on with that, but I don't want to speculate.
Right. You're probably right. And I think there's a body of criticism of CERN at this time, but I haven't kept up with it, particularly after they apparently closed down. But I'll tell you what, HAARP, HAARP.
Right.
They also apparently closed down, and I think it was the same year, 2013. But it's pretty well known that they're just when they say they're closing down, it means they're just going secret.
Right. True. I agree. I forgot about HAARP too, because I know there was bouncing stuff off the ionosphere back to the Earth, creating earthquakes and all type of stuff.
Right. I covered some of that with Cosmin Cal when we talked about Skyquake.
Oh yeah, that's a nice topic, Skyquake. That's dope. I like that topic.
Yeah. If there are no more questions, I'll go on.
All right, let me make sure. Let me see. All right, one more just popped in. Let me see. Do you think the government worldwide will fall and the free people take over the earth again?
Don't we wish? I think the more realistic way of framing it is to look at the dividing of the way. That's why I asked you to read the final verses in Olaspe. Because what we're undergoing right now is that dividing. We're very separate people here. We are very separate people here, and nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to unify us. When people talk about unity, they're going the wrong way. We need to divide, and that's what's happening. The very last verse in Olaspe says we become a separate people. But I think that the Druzen group is also needs to become a separate people. Like I was saying before, that we should take a more serious view of secession. They're looking to unite the red states, divide them from the blue states, but that's just another joke. Most states are purple.
Right.
most states have people of all mixed opinions.
Right, exactly.
Red and blue states. I mean, that doesn't help. But the focus, the true focus, is on the separation process, which we're going through now. I don't know if I answered that question properly.
Yeah, that sounds about right. You know what I'm saying? I respect everybody's opinions and thoughts, so to me there is no real wrong answer. But let me make sure any more questions. Is there any way?
Yeah, governments.
No, go ahead.
Right. Well, governments are failing. That is happening, and people everywhere, in certain ways, are taking things into their own hands. This is going on all over the world. Whatever we're feeling and going through in America, it's the whole entire world going through it. But Gautama is going to be the beacon for the world. Right. It doesn't matter if we lose the economic game with China. No, because we're the spiritual beacon of the world. Exactly. That's what's coming.
Exactly. And
they're worried about all the wrong things.
Right, because even in one of the books, it say that before Jehovah's kingdom can come, ooze must fall, and like you say, the separation is gonna take place where the faith is gonna separate from the worldly people, and the faster the separation come, the faster the city can follow. We can get going. But quick question: 2048. What is your expectation on the first 200 years after Cosmos? Do you think there'll be any and then I'll let you go into your next subject. Any celestial activities in 2048?
Ask Cal. He's a better one to ask. But I definitely think it's a turning point in a lot of ways. And when you were talking, I was thinking about a verse in Owaspe. I can't find it, and I can't recall where it comes from, but it says something to the effect that Gautama, the power in Gautama will be overcome. We will overcome the Muslim. We will overcome the Buddhist, but the China will come.
Oh yeah.
How is that verse? I've been trying to find it for years.
Where that's in family. Where that verse at when they talk about Confucius going to overtake Lua Monk, Christ, basically.
Right.
I think that's in oh man, I know what you're talking about too. I don't know if that's in the ending of the book of Escra. I forget. Hopefully somebody in the chat will know.
It's somewhere, but that verse has always stuck in my mind because it seems to be clear prophecy of what's going to happen by 2050.
Exactly. But what shocked me was how they said Confucius or China going to be the powerhouse, basically.
Yeah, but I want to, this may be wishful thinking, but I want to regard it as them becoming the economic power, the materialistic power in the world, which is okay with me, because Gautama is going to go in the other direction of amending and redemption.
Right.
That's what Gautama is for.
Right. Facts.
And the whole world knows that. Everyone wants to come here.
Yeah. This is what they say, the meeting of the nations, America is.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong in the West. But if you want to continue on, that's fine.
Okay, so I'm going to go right into the second part, which talks about the opposite of all this blame throwing, and it is also in vogue, and it is the pious school of forgiveness. The school of forgiveness, the pious school of forgiveness. So that's where I really get down into what's bothering me. It got really strong with the New Age. The New Age the New Age became stronger probably in the early 1970s. That's when the whole New Age movement started. I was there. What's that?
That's my dog barking.
Oh.
Yeah, I got 2 Maltese. One of them got away, then we found another one. Yeah.
The school of forgiveness is the very antithesis of blame. It's of the school that says we're all sinners and we're all going to hell.
Right.
And for a long time, I didn't get why I had a problem with blanket forgiveness. But was it just lip service? Was it too easy? Would it help wipe away our many problems? That's what troubled me. So the first example I found is our troubled veterans of war. And the treatment strategies that they have come up with are embarrassing. They call for, quote, education, compassion, and forgiveness. To me, that sounds like cheap AI. These vapid morale boosters have done little to ameliorate the awful memories and stressful lives of returning vets.
Right.
I also ask, how much does forgiveness actually accomplish? Here's a case in point. Social media in 2017 hotly debated the pardon of a young woman who had killed her own disabled son. After a few kind-hearted opinions made the case for the poor woman, after all, she was ignorant and had no resources, other people opined. Now, here's a quote from one of the responders.
Okay.
It's fine to forgive people for horrific crimes, but don't make excuses for them. That was one response. Someone else responded by saying, quote, this is more faithist, quote, the better question is how we can prevent this kind of thing from happening in the first place, end quote. And it's pretty obvious how you could prevent something like this. Here's a woman who had a disabled son and no support. But bottom line here is that a lot of prevention, a lot of it, when you come right down to it, involves speaking out, being proactive, saying something, or doing something.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Owaspe gives a very strong teaching to prevent, to be on the preventive side rather than the curing, healing side.
Facts.
Now, I want to make reference to something written by Robert Reich. He was Bill Clinton's Secretary of Labor, and he's been writing recently in one of my magazines, which is called the Progressive Populist. Really good. That's where you get the lowdown on a lot of stuff that's going on right now.
Oh, wow.
The Progressive Populist. It's a newspaper type format. I don't screen read. I like holding it in my hand. But now Robert Reich, Clinton's Secretary of Labor, has been saying, now here's what he said, and I'm quoting him. Friends, we do not have the luxury of waiting 18 months until the 2024 election. The danger is now. We must speak out against Trumpian fascism. End quote. And boy, that jumped out at me. We have to make sure we don't get Trump again. I don't think we will, but it is the time to speak out. You know, prevention is proactive, but pardoning and forgiveness is post-damage.
Right.
So that makes me ask, does this philosophy of unconditional forgiveness actually stand in the way of other more hard-working approaches? Does a get-out-of-jail-free card forfeit our personal responsibility? Does it forfeit accountability? We can't afford to do that. here's a religious scholar who I want to quote. He was surveying Islamic prayers, a complete book of Islamic prayer, and he noted, quote, a touch of irresponsibility, end quote, in our reliance upon God to pardon us. Well, it's not just Islamic. He quotes a French a prayer, C'est son métier, that translates as he must pardon. You see, we're right away we're bargaining with God to pardon us. And this one is a Islamic. This is a Shia petition. My God, sins are our nature, and pardon is thine. So this particular author pointed those out to find a touch of irresponsibility in these methods of prayer. Should we turn to God to erase our sins? This collector also observes how the thought of God's greatness has led to a certain moral shallowness. That's his phrase. Shifting responsibility to God. Another example he gives is this prayer. I ask thee everything, O Lord, till thou dost not hold me responsible for anything. And that is from the Al-Hizbul-i-Kabir. However, Oaspe declares, I cry out for order, purity, discipline, justice, and good works, or retribution.
That's serious.
Further complicating matters, forgiveness is in the pantheon of political correctness, whose everlasting obsession is not offending anyone. But hey, let's not leave common sense out of the equation, or sideline logic and facts. Anything hurtful or pejorative should be shunned. Still, there's no guarantee that someone won't be offended, no matter how much you soft-pedal your convictions. You know?
Right.
PC is censorship light. But you know what? People are getting sick and tired of walking on those eggshells and jumping through those hoops. With all this PC and foolhardy neutering of opinion, we could risk lumping together the deserving and the undeserving, the honorable and the dishonorable. Believe me, I've seen it. No code of ethics can survive that.
Wow.
Obediently not rocking the boat, PC risks the very opposite, lowering our standards to the point of chaos.
Right.
It was John Douglas, legendary FBI behavioral analyst, who pointedly warned that without accountability in the formula, quote, the concepts of morality, of right and wrong, become meaningless, and then you have no society, end quote. At this point, it expands into forgiveness and blame in the wider sphere. Like, let's start with industrial damage, okay, environmental stuff. Are we going to blame global warming? Are we going to blame climate change? Are we going to blame the weather? Are we going to blame El Nino? Are we going to blame the 2018 famines in Yemen, Somalia, and Nigeria on these things? Yet no modern famine can be pinned on climate or resources per se. That's the old Malthus doctrine of scarcity, which is just as outdated as Darwinism is. The only thing we're really running low on is justice and a clean conscience. Honestly, technology and special interests are behind most of our problems. The status quo held firmly in place by privilege and in consummate greed, the underpinning of the corporate state. Can you believe the authorities when they say the undersea volcano caused the oil spill? No. I'm quoting from The Week. It's a news magazine.
Okay.
Quote, we can't pretend it takes a natural disaster for oil leaks to destroy our environment. 2/3 of spills, listen to this, 2/3 of spills are caused by faulty pipelines and operational failures, yet the oil companies often try to shift the blame, unquote.
Imagine that.
Blame, accountability. See where I'm going with this?
Right, exactly.
Transparency. What a joke. What a joke. Every time they use the word transparency in the news. We're only meant to stay in the dark. The most exciting article I read lately was by, again, a woman journalist, Nina Burley. It appeared in the May issue of the New Republic, and she wrote about dark money. Let me tell you, these things are coming out. These journalists, there's no stopping them. She happened to investigate one of these behind-the-scenes fixers, the guy who gets things done. How? Well, his conservative billionaire friend, who nobody knows, nobody ever heard of, sponsors him. Between the two, the fixer and the moneybags, they can bankroll right-wing judges or politicians who themselves wouldn't mind crippling the little guy, stopping woke, overturning gun regulation, etc., etc., etc. The charming fixer hobnobs stylishly with the echelon who prefer to remain veiled, anonymous to the world. Omerta.
Wow.
Omerta, I think that's the mafia rule of silence.
Oh, wow.
Should I stop there for a minute?
Yes, definitely. That's powerful. That's powerful.
Is anybody talking?
Yeah, in the chat. Yeah, they definitely
Let's go.
Let me see. Y'all got any questions? Throw questions. Any questions for what you just heard just now? Let me see if they got any questions to the coming to the last couple of questions. That's right. Yeah, throw any questions y'all got from what you just heard. Throw it in the chat. Let me see. We can get a copy of Reincarnation Hoax. So is there any way we can get a copy of the Reincarnation Hoax? I'm not sure what.
There's a problem with that. Whoever it is, can you tell me the name?
Where's the question at? Oh, Spirit Woman Warrior? That's the name on YouTube.
Well, just give her my email address and I'll tell her what's up with that.
All right, cool.
Or a messenger on Facebook.
All right, cool. So Spirit Warrior, I'm gonna leave my email. You just get at me and I'll make the connection. Let me see. TV. I got any questions? Throw them in the chat real quick on that topic. I'm gonna just drop my email for this person so they can get to me to get to you. Let me see. See if anybody got some action. All right. Yeah, if y'all got any questions, throw them in the chat based off what you just heard. Ain't none coming in, but I'm sure some will start coming in shortly. Let me see.
You want me to go on?
Yeah, you can go on. If a question come up, I'll just interject and let you know.
Please do.
Okay, definitely will.
Okay, so this conversation slides into the question of the shadow elite, the echelon, and that's what I'm saying. The journalists are starting to go after it. You know.
Oh, somebody hold on. We got one. She puts does the psyche meds do more harm than good?
Read it again.
She says, does the psyche meds, like medication,
do
more harm than good?
Oh, okay. That's really a good question. And I'm not an expert on it. I just have my opinion. We need, some people are on psyche meds, and some people drink, and some people smoke pot, and some people take other drugs. We need drugs, to get out of the also to open up our mind again from the you know what I'm saying.
Right.
We need drugs, and I think some of them are pretty cool myself. But the psyche meds, there's probably a big problem with psyche meds, and whoever's asking that question should go ahead and find the progressive attitude on those things, the real healers, and read up on it and find out for themselves, because I know that they solve a lot of problems, but hey, they're being used and abused, like, in the prisons and the detention camps, in the mental wards. They're being used and abused. So there's a lot of problems there, but it's not my, I don't know enough about it.
Right. Okay. Let me see. Anything else? Man, like our Mac could be crazy. Always bad, never good. Somebody put always bad, never good. Okay. So drudges run. Cosmo put. So do drudges run the politicians?
Probably so, and I'll tell you why. Have you all been studying the tetracts? There's 7 tetracts.
Right.
And the last one is Satan, and I have a feeling they saved the worst one for last. The faceless version of Satan is Satan, the 7th tetract, and that's the love of admiration, the desire for leadership. Hey, what can I tell you?
That's interesting, though. It says the desire for leadership. I was like, wow. All right, let me see. Okay.
Selah, can you do me a favor?
Yeah, no problem.
I need to take a 1-minute break.
That's fine.
Okay, let me go. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Do your thing. Take a pause real quick. All right, family. We're going to break for a minute. We're going to let the music ride for a second. You know how we do. Give me a 1 in the chat if you get this understanding, family. Give me a 1 in the chat if you get this understanding. A nice vibe. You know how we do. Got Susan B. Martinez in the building. PhD Faithist. Dig. back at it. All right. Let's see. All right.
I really love the questions. So, just let me know what's going on.
Okay, cool. Yeah, somebody had put another question. They put, can she break down the tea tricks for us? I guess he's talking about the 7 tea tricks, what we just mentioned. The last one being Satan. I guess he's talking about the other 6.
Yeah. What's the question? You want me to list them?
Hold on. He said, sorry.
What was the question?
Can she? Hold on. I guess he's saying, can she break down the tea tricks for us? I guess the 7 tea tricks.
Yeah. I found that 2 of the tetracts that came into this discussion here were Satan, which we just went into,
right,
and which is a desire for leadership, which is the captain of death,
right,
the captain of death, and that's what's going on now.
Right.
They're trying to kill off the world. And the other tetract is aven, vanity. That's actually the English word vanity actually comes from that Punic word aven, vanity, and that's vanity. Hey, that's part of your narcissistic complex.
Right. Fact.
Vain, conceited, self-absorbed, etc. There are 5 other tetracts, but what do we need to do about the tetracts here?
I guess they wanted an explanation, but
it's in I have the verse 11/1.68.
11/1.68. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick.
Yeah, if anybody wants to go look at it.
Okay, got you. 11/168.
1.68. Chapter 1, verse 68. Wrong chapter.
Is that in that should be in the
11. Let me check it. I got a way to check it right here.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
11 is the Lord's first book.
Right. I got it now.
Good. I try to keep it handy. I try to keep it where I can get right to it,
Right, yeah.
Because and also, well, I'm coming to it. Also, the 4 dark corners, I'm coming to it. Should I continue with this?
Yeah. Continue on. Yeah. We'll come back to that.
Okay, so where am I? Let's see. Okay. Has everyone heard about what's going on with Clarence Thomas?
Clarence Thomas? I'm not aware of it, but I'm not sure if anybody's in the chat aware of it.
He's the black guy on the Supreme Court.
Oh,
he's
okay.
He's the black justice in the Supreme Court, and he's been caught taking very huge amounts of luxury vacations and whatnot from one of these secret billionaires.
Oh wow.
And they're starting to get caught. My previous point was that the echelon, the shadow elite, is almost impossible to pin down. They remain anonymous, omerta. But the journalists are starting to catch up with them. Journalism is starting to catch up, and Clarence Thomas is one of the first. The problem is that this same billionaire has corporate interests that come in front of the court, the Supreme Court, and Clarence Thomas has not recused himself. Conflict of interest, okay? It's that kind of story, and that's been the latest. But So what's coming out is that these billionaires and their fixers they're coming to account now, and so this ties in with what I've been saying about accountability and all these features being part of our national character, that we have allowed the lack of accountability. And, so that's why you're seeing the words like transparency and so forth in the news stories. So it's starting to happen. The challenge is there. The author, again a woman, Janine Weddell, who wrote an enlightening book on the shadow elite, I got all these ideas from her, and she says that these people, some of their activities are perfectly open and respectable, but others lie in deep murk, hidden. For example, a Harvard professor may be teaching good government while his industry connections remain unknown. This is where true conspiracy theory comes in. Okay. I just saw something online about conspiracy being, a whole right-wing paranoia thing. But hey, it's more than that. There are true conspiracies, and this is the one that's coming to light now. Now with all the light of Cosmin coming.
Right.
This is true conspiracy coming out, trying to hide behind. So what these players do is try to hide behind their most appealing role, their most appealing persona, his most honorable role, but successfully concealing his other agendas. This is known now, and this is being exposed. They juggle their roles. He skirts accountability by playing different sets of constraints off each other, claiming in one venue he is simply operating in another. So that's what Janine Weddell's book goes into. I wonder if it's a coincidence that these have been all women. Are you aware of the statistics on journalists, murders of journalists?
No.
It's higher than you would think.
Yeah, that's a dangerous job, though. The journalists, they got a really dangerous job.
You got that right.
Especially when they become like wars and stuff like that. But go ahead.
Yeah, the corporate agenda is not people friendly. It's anti-human. It's anti-social. It's all of those things. Though they may donate handsomely to honorable causes. See, still the agenda is basically racist. Let's get back to this. And here I'm going to quote no less an icon than Dan Rather, who is really an important commentator in my time. I don't know if he's still around anymore. Do you remember him, Selah?
No, I'm kind of behind with the politics, so.
That's okay. He spoke out on this superficial display of racial tolerance. He said, tolerance is not sufficient. We can make a show of it, but it surfaced. Quote, a great racial divide remains and even appears to be expanding. We are still largely segregated as a society, end quote. So that makes me say, is tolerance really tolerance when you have to go through sensitivity training, anti-bias training? There's a writer for Atlantic who says that anti-bias training, quote, does not reduce bias or alter behavior, end quote. Right now, the acronym for all this is DEI, and it stands for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. California's universities now require DEI statements from all job applicants. But the right wing calls it progressive dogma, and is suing the California system for it.
Wow.
But David French in the New York Times comments that neither extreme is really desirable. So what is? Well, if as Dan Rather supposes, political correctness is only skin deep, so is the desultory brand of tolerance and forgiveness. It's not so easy to forgive. And here's my point. Here's what I'm getting at. Why not start by encouraging amends? Why not give the offender a chance to own up to his mistake?
Right.
If this is really our goal, maybe we should listen to the far-seeing Aldous Huxley, who wisely advised making good of the bad. And this is personal. Quote, if you have behaved badly, make what amends you can and address yourself to the task of behaving better next time. The badness should be hunted out. End quote. And that's the evil inclinations. That's the tetrax. That's the four dark corners.
Right.
This advice is to hunt it down.
Facts, exactly.
Isn't that what we teach our children? Why turn around and pardon the adult? Young or old, self-correction is the most cleansing of personal rights.
Exactly.
Repentance and redemption are powerful, inevitable, and demanding stages of spiritual growth. So, does the magic wand of forgiveness short-circuit that beautiful, emancipating process? Even guilt is a good emotion if it sharpens our conscience.
Exactly.
Developed conscience is the most angelic trait. Besides, dang, we hate to see the scoundrel get away with it. What's more, and I'm quoting now from a woman writer, Leanne Carlson, she said in her article, quote, the history is not so easy to wipe away. There's no forgiveness without justice. So then I move into the question of apologizing. I'm sorry and apologies.
Right.
The shallow apology is not worth much, but the sincere apology is good and probably preferable to premature absolution, unconditional forgiveness. Any apology, heartfelt, goes a long way. If someone simply confesses a foolish mistake, it is easy to forgive and forget. But what about repeat offenders? What about grievous harm or sadistic acts or outright betrayal? So I'm going to answer those questions by quoting from Sadi, the great Sufi saint.
Okay.
Merely doing good to the evil may be equivalent to doing evil to the good. Can I take a breath there and find out if anything else is happening?
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Let me see. All right. If y'all got any questions in the chat, y'all can throw them in there as well. Okay. Journalists. All right. It seems like everybody just tuned in right now.
Okay. Can I continue?
Yes, you definitely can.
Okay, so this is how I wind it up. Since the kingdom of good judgment and free will is yours and mine to enjoy and exercise, I leave it to you, whether you choose to forgive Adolf Hitler, Osama bin Laden, Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin. But let me quote from the Book of Thor. Teach him to undo his past and to make full restitution unto others. Restitution is hard work. There are no shortcuts in the moral universe. And by the same token, we cannot be certain that absolution or forgiveness is within our mortal jurisdiction. Do I really clear things up by saying I forgive you? Isn't that between you and your God? The book of S instructs us, let every man pray in his own way and confess his sins to me for forgiveness. You know, there's a difference between that prayer and the prayer that says, take care of it for me, Lord, because all power is thine.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, and if compassion is your bent, think of the gentle words written by the poet Shelley. I really love this. And I'm quoting.
Okay.
A man, to be greatly good, must imagine intensely. He must put himself in the place of another and of many others. Their pains and pleasures become his own. The great instrument of moral goodness is the imagination.
Facts. That's true.
Kindness and mercy are great, but we are still left to ponder. Is it really up to us, to mere mortals, to afford someone else's redemption? I don't think so. Even the saintly Moses, in one Faith's legend, was incapable of forgiving Pharaoh, cursing him instead. Only much later, when on high, did angel Moses bemoan his act. This is what he said. I should have forgiven him, O Jehovah. I have sinned before you.
Right.
And Moses wept.
Imagine that.
Pharaoh, as we learn, could not be healed until Moses came down from the heights and forgave him.
Look at that. That's
Is
deep.
The Moses. Pardon me?
No, I said that's deep. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. At the end of the day, the sanctimonious pardon is not really unconditional. When different religions promise lavish pardon, it's usually strings attached on one condition: total allegiance. For example, Salvationist Islam assures its votaries of forgiveness for all sins and crimes upon accepting what Ed Hussein labels, quote, a rigid interpretation of Islam and unfailing animosity toward the West. But then there's the Buddhist version of this, the instant pardon. They say that you can be reborn in the land of bliss despite all your transgressions if you repeat the name of Buddha Amitabha a few nights before you die. And this is not unlike the Christian nostrum. I'm going to quote from a Christian writer here. Great news for Christians. Their judgment is not going to involve any penalties. Sure, they did stuff wrong during their lifetime, but by accepting Jesus as their Savior, their sins are forgiven. End quote. Well, that is great news, getting off the hook, whether Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, or whatever. Pondering these sticky moral dilemmas, the great 19th century seer, Dr. J.B. Newbrough, was moved to ask his angel friends, and this is coming from Spiritualis, which was published in 1874. I hope you have a copy of it.
What's it called?
Yeah? Spiritualis.
Oh, no, I don't have a copy of that.
Oh, I'm going to send it to you.
All right, cool.
Let me make a note here.
All right, cool. I'm definitely going to remember. I'll chat you with a messenger.
Spiritualis. This was 6 years before. Okay, I'm writing a note here to Selah. 6 years before. Okay, no, he was in the middle. The angels came to him to perform a mission for Jehovah in 1870. Then he had a 10-year period of purification, and the transcription began in 1880. Spiritualis was written in 1874, so he was in the middle of his process of preparing to write Oaspe, to be the amanuensis of Oaspe. So where am I? I'm right here. It's a booklet, a small booklet-sized thing.
Right.
Spiritualis is the title, and he was already deeply involved in speaking, addressing the angels and getting answers for them. So he did ask, quote, how is it possible, he asked his angels this, and it was printed in Spiritualis, how is it possible for man to do any wickedness and repent by simply calling on the names of their idols the hour before he leaves the body?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer came as a question. Shall the thief escape by asking the prophet or God to excuse him and no reimbursement come to the victim? End quote. And concerning the thief, I just had to include this because it was right there, chillingly. Despite the all-forgiving paradise promised to Allah's faithful, they can still chop off the hands of a thief under the Islamic law of hudud. H-U-D-U-D.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So overall, blanket forgiveness may be as heedless as its opposite, blame, and its corollary, revenge, lex talionis, eye for an eye, the barbaric blood feud, multiplying the misery in the world, may be as headstrong as the lenience is thoughtless, careless of doubt. Where's the balance? Where's the balance between the two? Okay, so I have to say the forgiver is ahead of the game, learning how to put a lid on your fury,
right?
Answering the misdeed with a measure of forbearance.
Right.
This is something that someone pointed out to me. The word for forgiveness in ancient Persian is amareth. But it was not exactly pardon of the wrongdoer that they urged. Instead, the sages would make one's own soul like a sieve that will not hold anger. Anger, resentment, rancor, blame. The Persian philosophy of Amareth was not some bargain basement acquittal, but self-vigilance, not allowing ill feeling to accumulate and fester. And that's where I made a reference to study the tetracts and the four dark corners. By the way, I came up with a mnemonic to remember the four dark corners.
Okay.
G-A-I-L. It spells the name Gail. Greed.
Go ahead.
Okay. Greed, anger, ignorance, and lust.
Powerful.
It's really good because the last time I studied it, I spotted two of them in myself.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's why we need them close to us.
Right.
You know.
True.
You know, even or maybe especially when we're depressed, to look at them, you know, and get ourselves straightened out.
Definitely. I definitely agree with that.
So here's my closer. We're here to take care of each other. But who escapes life without being wronged, abused, and accused, mistreated and cheated, insulted, lied to, humiliated, belittled, slighted, or underestimated? All the little murders. But let's not be a victim of the darkness, wallowing in the hurt, curdling in the cauldron of resentment. One of the most damaging passions is the chronic grudge. That is why the wise men of yore admonished us to start each new year by putting aside all hard feelings, leaving us, quote, purged of all animosity.
Right.
It reminds me of the old Jewish custom of symbolically throwing your sins in the Yam, the ocean, at the end of the old year. But can we throw someone else's misdeeds in the Yam? What do you think?
That was a question to me? Or
That's
was
a question for everybody, all of us.
Yeah, that's real, though. It's like, a lot of people don't like to take blame and responsibility for their misdoings. So like you said, the person who could overcome that could face his mistakes, and like you say, you kind of ahead of the game if you could do that, because a lot of people don't like to take the blame, man. They could be in the wrong, they know they in the wrong, and it's like, oh, well, you blah 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 blah. But I'm like, no, it's not about me right now. You're in the wrong. Just take your blame, you know what I mean, and learn to deal with it. That's what a lot of people got to learn to deal with, is when you're wrong, just take it and take the blows and dust off yourself and get up and do better. You know what I'm saying? Everybody make mistakes.
Right. And there's a lot of stuff I see on Facebook, on our group, that addresses this sort of indirectly. You can see, particularly the women are, coming out. They're just not going to take. They've had to walk away from it, Selah. They've had to walk away from it because this other person is not taking responsibility for his own misdeeds.
Right.
And there's no way you can undo that.
Right.
And you've tried everything.
Right.
You've got a whole family you're trying to keep together, but it's not working.
Exactly.
We have to. This dividing is very painful.
It is, yo.
It's in everybody's family.
It is.
It's in my family, honey. It's in your family.
Yep.
And it's coming right down the middle. It's right down the middle that we're dividing.
That's so true right there. That is so true. And like you said, it's painful because in one breath, you're telling yourself you want to make it work. You try all you can to make it work. But then in another breath, it's like, it's not working. I got to separate myself, because it's like I'm demoralizing myself trying to make it work when, I could leave and maintain my sanity before I become crazy because of this situation I'm in,
That's right. And it touches on, you might have to be alone for a while. That might be the only way. And I have discovered myself, how far it gets you, because it happened to me too. And I'm alone, and I've learned from it. And if you can't patch it up, you have to walk away.
Right. Exactly. And it's crazy because that's where the pain kicks in, because it's like, you're so bound to what you've been used to, but then when you break away, but a lot of time when you break away, doors start opening up, blessings start coming in. You know what I mean? So it's like, although, you're in that season of, death in a sense, because it's, the old way is dying, and you're trying to patch up something old with something new, but it don't work. But then when you take the step out and say, you know what, I'm tired of this, I'm going to go ahead and separate myself and move forward. And when you make that decision to make that step, it's like the creator's like, all right, since you did that, I'm going to do this for you. And it's up to you to pay attention to know when the creator sends you those signs when you make those drastic decisions of change.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah, I'm battling that right now as we speak.
That's what I'm saying. All of us. I mean, there's a lot that we can't speak about. There's no one to talk to. There's no one who's safe enough or intelligent enough or kind enough or whatever to talk about your problems with. So we all are stuck with it ourselves. There's very little outlet for us. But that's all part of what we're going through. But it's the most important part is to realize that everybody's going through this.
Right. It's
now,
exactly.
now, and there's no easy way out. You know, as bad as things are now, in the darkest hour before the dawn, it's going to get worse. But we understand that there's also the light, and we have to work with the angel knowledge we've been given. The angels have done this for us.
Right.
Let's work with it. Let's work together.
Right.
Let's support each other. We're here to take care of each other.
That's true. That's true. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Service done on the others.
Yeah, it's supposed to, right? But we got plenty of ammunition from a wash bay. Let's just stick with it.
Definitely that. Gotta stay on the straight and narrow with that, because there's so much going on. Like you say, you got these school shootings. You know what I mean? You got corrupt government, scandals, betrayal on the highest level. So, you know what I mean? We got to be in our best behavior, because we don't know what, 2048 bring, what leading into 2048 is going to bring, what we're going to see in these next couple of years. So we got to be on top of our game.
The angels are counting on us. How many faces are there? I mean, maybe we're hundreds, but we're still a tiny minority. But they're counting on us to spread the light,
right,
and spread the truth, and speak out, and be proactive, and be preventive, and say something or do something.
True. I agree. That's motivation.
We got a lot on our shoulders, us faces.
Yeah, they don't even. Yeah, we do, yo. It's like once you come into the realization of the OWASP and the responsibility that one has, it's like, oh, okay. Like when you were Christian or an Israelite or mainly those two, you're waiting on somebody to do those things. You're waiting on a savior. You waiting somebody to save you, to tell you what to do. But in the OWASP, it said, you ain't no saviors. You the savior. You got to go out there and save souls. I was like, dang, that's deep.
We're gods and goddesses in training here.
That's right.
And we're at the front. We're at the front of mankind here. The faces are.
That's deep, yo. It's almost scary when you think about it, because it's like
it is.
It's like, dang. It's like we the only people in the world with this level of knowledge. Because I come across a lot of people. We have debates, or we challenge Hebrew Israelites or Christians or Muslims. And when we realize, like, yo, we way ahead of schedule with the information, because they still stuck in the, waiting on the Mahdi, waiting on Jesus' second coming, or the New Jerusalem coming down out of heaven on earth. Their minds are so far left when it comes to the truth of the Creator. It's like, yeah, we definitely got a responsibility to do. And we doing it, no doubt. You definitely doing it. Put out them books and stuff like that. A couple people said they're going to purchase the books in the chat and all that. A couple people said they got the books. So that's a good thing.
Lately I've had this feeling, this feeling that faiths need to do something at this point. We need to do something together. We need to do something as faiths. And I, honest to God, I can't figure it out, but that's the thought I've been having.
No, you're absolutely right, because we be pondering these things too. Like, all right, we got the knowledge of OWASP. We know what's going on. Now, what is the hands-on work we got to do? Like, like the end game is like, the whole land thing. It's even in the OWASP Yahoo group with some of the elders in the group. Like when I first came on, some of them had land. They did the land and they moved back to the city. You know what I mean? Because, it may have not worked out like how they thought. But it's like, dang, it's like at least we trying to get that experience to even try to live off the land or do the whole land thing, coming from the inner cities. A lot of us come from the inner cities, and we're not accustomed to the country lifestyle of living. But that's the end game. That's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to get away from oohs in the cities, because you see how bad the cities is getting. You see the crimes every holiday weekend, mass shootings and all this. I'm trying to get away from that.
I know a lot of places are stuck in cities. I wouldn't. You're in the big city yourself. What is your feeling about land? Getting land?
I'm all for it because my background is Caribbean, so it's like dealing with the land is a part of my upbringing. Like my mother and them, they used to live off the land, and they had mango trees, this tree in the yard. You know what I mean, in the Caribbean island. So it's like I'm like, shoot, the Caribbeans is damn near living like a faith. So they missing out on just the information on, the true brotherhood and the true sisterhood. But like, when I went to Jamaica and visited, and I went up the hill, seeing how some of these people are living like off the land. I'm like, yo, y'all really living like faith is the only thing that differs is your spiritual belief system. But as far as the lifestyle, as far as living off the land, I'm walking and plucking mangoes right off the tree and eating it. I'm like, dang, I ain't done this since I lived in Miami. You know what I'm saying? But that's about that.
I know you.
Now, go ahead.
When you're saying that, it occurred to me that the islands would be an ideal place. One of the islands would be an ideal place to get a community going. I don't know if you did you know Hawk Palakio in Atlanta?
What's his name again?
Palakio. We called him Hawk. He was like black mixed with Mohawk blood. He was there for a long time with OASPE.
I don't think I met him.
I'm almost surprised. He was a big deal in Atlanta. He was there. I stayed in his home. It was kind of almost like a community. His house when I first got to Georgia from Florida 25 years ago. I stayed at his place. He's no longer with us.
Wow.
His son is around. But Red Tail Hawk was his name. And that's Palakio in the Indian, and he brought OASPE to the islands. I'm trying to remember which island now. He brought 6 OASPEs. He used to come up to Virginia's place at Four Winds and bring what do you call it? What are those pipes made out of? Those Indian pipes. It's a red stone. What the heck do you call those the red stone they make the pipes out of?
The red stone?
I know it's on the tip of my tongue, but anyway, he'd bring up Indian crafts to Virginia at Four Winds, and they would trade it, and he would get OASPE for the crafts he gave her, and she'd sell it at a gift shop, and he brought those OASPE to the islands. So I know that they're there, and there was a lovely response from some of the people studying. But that was a couple of decades back, and I don't know what's happening. But my train of thought is that it's so difficult on the mainland here. There's so many problems. So the islands would be okay. Like the guy who founded the Cosman Temple in Brooklyn, New York.
Right.
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
He's you know who I mean?
Yeah, I know you're talking about. Yeah. I did a lecture at his temple.
Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony. Yeah, definitely.
He's from Barbados, and his mom is a Waspian, and they've got something going there. So I'm just suddenly seeing that the islands, where they already have places to live and places to grow your food, would be an ideal place for places to put something together. On the other hand, stuff is happening. Richie has moved to an Earth Haven community in North Carolina, and that's a very, very positive thing. They have 300 acres there. The people in your Kern are looking into a much nicer property in the middle of California at the present time. Things are happening, but I think the land is the most important thing we could be focusing on. But we can't do it alone.
Right.
We have to do it. We have to do it together.
Exactly.
And I'm too old to do it.
Exactly. We got to come together and do it collectively, because OASPE already showed us that You know what I mean? Doing it singly, solo, it ain't gonna work. And it's crazy because, you know, in the biblical mind state, in the Hebraic mind state, you thinking of like, you know, the solo, you're gonna be the one carrying the torch, you're gonna be like the Messiah carrying the people. It gives you that illusion, like it put the emphasis on you, the individual, while Owaspi is like, nah, you ain't nothing. Y'all gotta come together collectively to make this thing work. So that's interesting enough right there.
Right, and let's just encourage as much talk on this subject as we can, because things are falling apart very rapidly in our country.
True. I agree.
Let's keep this topic alive.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, this is a good topic. We definitely got to touch on this more often, because these are things that's overlooked. These are the personal things that we harvest in ourselves that we don't talk about on, you know, on a topic like this. You know, we'll talk about the false gods, you know, history, science, but when it comes to talk about self-conviction, your own, you know what I mean, your own self, we tend to ignore that sometimes.
You know, I'm glad you said that, because that's my definition of art and writing, that if you're a true artist or a true writer, you're doing something no one else is.
Right, exactly.
So thanks, buddy. Thanks so much.
Anytime, man. Yo, we definitely got to have you on again. You know what I mean? Next time, probably you could go in on some of the books you wrote. Maybe we could go in on some of that, because you definitely got some interesting books, some interesting topics. This was definitely needed. You know what I mean? Because like I said, this is a rarity. We really talk about, you know, narcissism and, you know, corruption in government, you know what I mean? Blaming others instead of being responsible for your own self. You know what I mean? And forgiveness, whether it's if you're forgiving someone genuinely or you're forgiving someone, you know what I mean, just on the surface, yeah, man, my bad. And then you think, you know, you're thinking it's genuine when it's not. So all those layers got to be filtered out, even to see if you're dealing with a genuine person, you know?
Yeah, it's just something to think about, you know, because it's really tied in with the question of accountability.
Right, exactly. That's it, accountability.
And we can't let it slide. We can't let it slide, because this is our moment of truth now. We're really getting into it.
Exactly.
Society. We're really getting to the moment of truth. And that's why people are so confused. They don't have the basis that we have, the basis of understanding that the angels gave us.
Exactly. And that's why people need to get into this Owaspi so they can see, you know what I mean, what Creator is expecting from us. Because ain't no other book so far that I read is detailing your destiny. You know what I mean? Your purpose in life. What are you here for? You know what I mean? So right. hopefully people, if they don't read the book, hopefully, you know, we can lead by examples and show it through our examples and our actions, and then let that be the book for those who may not read the book.
Yeah.
So yeah, any last words you'd like to say before we chime out?
Not really. I'm just making a note to myself that I'm going to need your address, because I want to send you Spiritualis, and then there'll be a surprise in there, because Richie and I have been working together. That's Brother in Light, okay. Richie, and we've been working together on a brotherhood project all year, and you know, he does all the art and crafts, and I have something really sweet to send you.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, sure. I'm a team player, so if y'all ever need any help or anything, you know, I'm there. You know, I do audio engineering, video, film, recording. So anything on that level you need any assistance on, I'm there.
Okay, great.
All right, cool. So I'll inbox you my information on the messenger after we finish close out. But
excellent.
With that, you know what I mean? We had Susan B. Martinez come through, dropping the knowledge, the blame game, you know what I mean? So definitely, y'all family, go back and watch this video, take notes, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to come back again, touching on some more subjects with the sister, Susan B. Martinez. And with that, Martinez, you can close out. And shalom, peace to everyone. And you can have the last word, sis.
I don't know what to say. You better do it for me. Just love to everybody, okay?
There you have it. You know what I mean? So from Sister Martinez to the Creative Gang family, we outside. We in here. And peace and blessings, peace, love, and light. Until next time. All right, Susan, until next time.
Y'all take care.
All right, blessings. See you in the chat.
See you later.
Peace. Yes, family. So there you have it. We had a nice session with the sister, Susan B. Martinez. She came through and dropped some realism. And like I said, you know what I mean? A lot of times, you know, we beat up on the false gods, we beat up on the religion, but really do we talk about self-conviction, our own personal development, you know what I mean? And that's something that we all got to work up, you know what I mean? Work on. Then we got to work on hate. We got to work on anger, jealousy, you know what I'm saying? Even the position for leadership. A lot of Israelites want to be leaders. They want to be leading others and tell others what to do. And then the OSP says the crown of the teachers, or the crown of the 7 deadly sins, is Satan, which is the desire for leadership. And a lot of people in these Hebrew Israelite camps is looking to be leaders. So be careful on what you ask for. You dig? And with that, family, we're going to sign out. This your host, Selah Shalom, chiming out. Creative Gang. See you in the messenger chat. You know how we get down. And let's ride out, family. It's a vibes. We out of here. It's a vibes.